Hey, what's up, everybody? Jazz Roganzo here. Another episode of What's Next. A few stories. This comes out of the Blaze. Joe Rogan attacks cancel culture, slams Biden's leadership. Everybody knows he's out of his mind. That's Joe Rogan. The man's been on a roll, from the vaccines to slamming trannies, and now he's slamming Joe Dementia. What a shocker there, but I dig it. Joe Rogan questioned the leadership and cognitive abilities of President Joe Dementia during a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. The stand-up comedian and UFC commentator also rallied against cancel culture and calls the current time period, quote, one of the most tumultuous periods in the history of the country, end of quote. Rogan welcomed fellow comedian Eliza Schlesinger, I'm probably butchering her name, I apologize, on his Spotify podcast last week. Rogan and Schlesinger were discussing the formative eras of the U.S. in history, and the podcast host brought up the decade of the 2020s. Quote, in the future, they're going to be saying that this is one of the most tumultuous periods in the history of this country, end of quote. Also adding, I think people are going to be talking about all the changes happening right here, right now, in the future. His guest pointed out how cancel culture shaped our current times. Quote, we'll look back on it and it will be scary, Schlesinger declared. Everybody was afraid of getting canceled. People were eating each other. Nobody was listening to science. Schlesinger also concluded, even as it's happening, I'm like, we're coming across as effing idiots like animals. If you look at it like cancel culture, I don't think people want an apology in some cases. They just want to see someone burn. It's like medieval times, like the Middle Ages. It's a dark period. Rogan hypothesized why cancel culture is such a dominant aspect of our society right now. Quote, there is a disconnect between other people, right? That's happening when you're attacking somebody online, Rogan contended. They're not near you. They're not talking to them. They're not human. They are the other, and you can attack them in that way. Quote, if they get taken down, they lose their job. People like it, Rogan added. It's like you scored a point. You're playing a video game. You kill the bad guy. We're all unhinged in a lot of ways, and we're not anchored down by a real leader. You know, we don't really have to have a real leader in this country anymore. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I apologize. You know, we don't really have a real leader in this country anymore. Rogan challenged Biden's cognitive abilities. Quote, you can say Biden is the president. He's our leader. And you'd be correct on paper. I mean, everybody knows he's out of his mind. He's just barely hanging in there. My thoughts. Rogan once again shoots, scores. Exactly. The fact of the matter is that dementia is demented. He's a dementia-riddled old man who's running the country right into the fucking ground. Is exactly what he's doing. And Rogan's 100% correct. Again, just like he was regarding the vaccines. When, you know, if you're young and you don't have any priors, why take it? Same thing with transgenderism. The fact of the matter is, women are women, men are men. Deal with it, move on from it. It's a mental illness. And of course, we're dealing with this situation regarding Joe Dementia. And of course, speaking of Joe Dementia, we are going to our final story today. And this comes out of the Washington Times. From Tuskegee to Latinx, Biden offers theories on minority vaccine rates in racial gabfest. Oof. President Biden was called out for a racial twofer in which he suggested that all Hispanic Americans are illegals and mixed up the Tuskegee Airmen with the infamous syphilis experiments on black patients. Dementia made the double gaffe in less than a minute. That's got to be a record for him. During remarks Thursday on his trip to promote COVID vaccines in Raleigh, North Carolina, where the statewide vaccination rate for adults has lagged behind the national average. Quote, there's a reason why it's been harder to get African Americans initially get vaccinated because they used to be experimented on, the Tuskegee Airmen and others, he said, as shown in viral video clips. People have memories. People have long memories. Of course, he confused the two. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study and the Tuskegee Airmen are two different entities. Two different groups, two different things. They just happen to have the same town. Biden also went on to offer a theory on why Hispanic vaccination rates that conflated illegal immigrants with legal residents and citizens of Hispanic descent who numbered around 60 million according to a 2020 U.S. Census. Quote, it's awful hard as well to get Latinx vaccinated as well. Why? They're worried that they'll be vaccinated and then deported. Yes, and then deported.
It's been harder to get African Americans initially to get vaccinated because they used to being experimented on. The Tuskegee Airmen and others. People have memories. People have long memories. It's awful hard as well to get Latinx vaccinated as well. Why? They're worried that they'll be vaccinated and deported.
My thoughts on this finale. One, let me say this in Spanish. As an Hispanic American, as an American of Puerto Rican descent, whose parents came here in the late 40s, early 50s. Yo soy boricua. Pendejo viejo. Cuerecaco viejo. Yo soy boricua. Now, back to the program. Biden's a clown. Dementia is a clown. He's just that. That's what he is. He's demented. The man cannot help himself. It's not about, Joe, don't do this. Joe, don't do that. Stay on point. Read the paper. Don't step outside the box. No. That's not Joe. That's not Joe. If Joe's not stepping out the box, he's not Joe. He's not. If he's not insulting somebody, he's not Joe. If he's not doing racially infused gaffes, it's not Joe. If he's not smelling some kid, it's not Joe. Come on. This is a guy who dropped 2 M-bombs in a 1983 Senate hearing. And you're telling me that this guy, he's just Joe being Joe. No. He's an ass clown. That's what he is. Countries look at this and they laugh their asses off. China's laughing their asses off. Russia's asses. Putin's having a good old time looking at this. I mean, come on. You saw how much he embarrassed himself at the G7. I mean, jeez, oh man, good gosh. You're saying, if we invoke the 25th, that means Kamala Harris becomes the president. Yeah, we can deal with Kamala Harris. You know who's having a good old time also with this? One Donald J. Trump, who just kicked off his tour just the other night. Actually, it was last night. Woo-wee. Oh, we're going to have some fun. Oh, we're going to have fun with this. And just think, got to deal with this nonsense for another 3 years. Well, at least another year. Anywho, I'm Jez Berganzo. This is What's Next. If you like what you see here, please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.